Hey everybody, welcome to today's webinar. We are going to get started in just a minute while I wait for everybody to populate from the waiting room. I always feel like this is where I need to sing a song or something.
Yeah, we need hold music. That'll be the next feature Zoom adds.
Right. We'll just wait one more minute to get started.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Maggie Bittner, and I am the head of education for SIA. Today we have Chris Dickerson, who is the digital director of integration at Verde Brand Communications, who will be leading the webinar today. Your online channels are now the front door to your business. It's how consumers discover, engage with you, join up, and buy from your brand. Chris will share his approach to building out a multi-channel digital marketing strategy for 2021, taking into consideration the new consumer journey and growth in e-commerce. So I'd like to welcome Chris. One little housekeeping note before I turn it over. We will be taking Q&A at the end of today's session. You can use the Q&A function that is at the bottom of the webinar, and we will get to them all at the end. With that, Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Cool, thanks Maggie. Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Dickerson. I work for Verde Brand Communications, as Maggie just said. A quick little intro around Verde. We were founded by Kristen Carpenter after a decade-long career in journalism. Verde is a full-service, active lifestyle brand communications agency where we help specialty brands with PR, social media, branding, events, email marketing, and a whole lot more. Verde pivoted earlier this year and launched an online marketing course called the Multi-Channel Marketing Academy. Enrollment for the second cohort began this past Tuesday and runs through September 25th. The MCMA is an immersive online marketing program for specialty brand leaders intent on modernizing their skills and strategies with the background of COVID-19, the evolving consumer behavior trends, current budgeting challenges, and more. On the first course last spring, we saw a lot of interest from ski and snowboard brands, including Fisher Sports, Scarpa, Wintersteiger, Faction Skis, and the Aspen Ski Company. All joined us for the last session. Myself, I've been with Verde for about 2.5 years now. Prior to joining Verde, I have a very long career in the ski and snowboard industry. Started out teaching ski instructing in college up at Stevens Pass. I'm up here in Seattle. Since then, I worked at sales and marketing at Whistler Blackcomb. I've helped launch e-commerce at Zoomies and Zoomies.com. I led the customer retention marketing team at Evo and store marketing. And since then, I've worked for a few creative agencies such as Hammercrest Studios, We Are Unicorns, which ultimately led me to Verde. Where I do digital integrations and I help clients connect the dots to conversion and amplify all of our social media needs and how we can all work together in that ecosystem. So I think that's enough about me. Let's dive in. So a quick little sneak peek of what we're going to go over today. Fall is a key planning time for many brands and retailers. Normally, you would take a look at 2020, what worked, what didn't, and then tweak your strategy and budget accordingly. Fortunately, the set it and forget it model that once worked is no longer an option for brands or retailers. COVID changed the playbook, challenging us all to adapt to fast changing trends in consumer behavior, spending, retail, and more. Recently, Retail Touchpoints just released a report on how consumer behavior trends will reshape the holiday season this year. One of the contributors to the report quotes, "While retailers are chasing the new normal or the next normal, they should instead accept the fact that we'll be in no normal, at least through the new year." So, how do you plan when you have no idea what the future holds? Today, I want to take a look at the consumer behavior trends that COVID-19 accelerated and how that is changing the game for your digital marketing strategy for 2021. This includes looking at the new consumer decision journey, the surge in e-commerce, and how to connect your target consumer in an authentic way online, and how to create a unique brand experience that will build brand loyalty and trust when so much of our lives have been moved online. So today we're going to look at consumer behavior trends that should be driving your digital strategy, the new consumer decision journey, how to best serve today's consumer. Then we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. And I definitely love to hear from all of you. What are the challenges you're currently facing? And if you have any questions specific to your strategy, feel free to ask any questions at the end. And you can also get in touch with me outside this seminar or webinar. So, if we look at COVID-19 and digital marketing, we see that e-commerce sales are at 55% year over year. And that is why this presentation is so important right now. The expectations and behaviors of consumers, businesses, and society at large are shifting with unprecedented speeds. We've seen a 10-year increase in e-commerce in 3 months because of COVID, and more than 80% of Americans are spending more time online. This shift to a new, more digital world has put marketers under tremendous pressure to overhaul their strategies to provide a digital-first and consumer-first brand experience. I'm sure you already know, but let's start with what exactly digital marketing is and what it is not. At its core, marketing is about connecting with your audience in the right place at the right time. Today, that means online. Digital marketing is just that, connecting with and building your community through the internet, whether that's SEO, social media, email marketing, your website, brand ambassadors, everywhere in between. It's all connected. It is a learning process. It involves a lot of trial and error. It is not a set science. It's something that you can't set and forget. It's always evolving. It's different for every brand and organization, and there's not a one-size-fits-all strategy, which makes this particularly difficult. So why is digital marketing more important now more than ever? As we mentioned above, consumers are spending more time online, they're exercising, they're working, they're socializing, they're learning, and more and more. So the challenge is consumers are overwhelmed with content and choices. The market is saturated. How can you rise above the noise and make sure your brand is getting in front of the right people at the right time? The solution: know exactly who your customer is and their consumer decision journey. This helps you create content that resonates with your audience and ensure that you're delivering it on the right platforms at the right time. So let's take a look at the new consumer decision journey. I'm sure a lot of you already know, but the consumer decision journey is the process that consumers go through as they discover, consider, then purchase goods and services. It helps you better understand your target consumer and how, when, and where to serve them. It answers, one, how your target consumer is getting their information. What are they purchasing? From what channels are they purchasing from? And how you can offer a unique brand experience to build a brand loyalty. So let's dive into that first point. Here, how are consumers getting their information? So let's look at online, obviously. We're getting it from social, we're getting it from search, we are getting it from streaming TV services, podcasts, and more. According to Pew Research, 55% of US adults are now getting their news from social media, an 8% increase from last year. Of those who rely on social media for their news, industry giant Facebook is now where about half, 52% of American adults get their news, which is sort of terrifying in my eyes. While YouTube came in at about 28%. I think this is a good touch point to think about just supporting your local media markets and independent journalism. I think is really, really important. So shout out to the local media in your local city. In the US, 73% of adults are on YouTube, and it is the second largest search engine behind Google. And surprise, Google owns YouTube. So just imagine how much information they're putting together on what you're searching, what you're learning about, and figuring out how to serve you more accurate items. If you dig in a little bit more on social, why are we going to social? First, we are going there to learn about new products or services. We want to find information and stay up to date on company news. We want to learn about promotions and discounts. And we also really want to be entertained and distracted. Next, we want to expand a little bit on search. So understanding where they are in their decision journey is really important. Whether you're starting your search on Google, YouTube, or Amazon, it's really important to understand how those platforms can affect driving traffic to your website and ultimately allowing consumers to find you. Really honing in on your search engine optimization, making sure you have the right product with the right term so people can find that. You know, they are going to these search engines to learn, get third-party validations such as reviews, and they're also potentially ready to buy, depending on where they are on your decision journey. Also look at whether the channel is going to be a demand creation channel for you or demand capture. It might be different for different companies. And then let's look at media consumption by generation. You know, Global Web Index found that over 80% of consumers in the US are spending more time online. Broadcast TV and online videos such as YouTube and TikTok are especially popular. TikTok, there is a bit of a question mark next to due to a forced sale the US government's requiring by TikTok's parent company. And it might be banned in the US the next 5 to 10 days, depending on if Oracle can work out their sale with them or not. So again, always evolving, things change very rapidly in this space. So, you know, we really want to look at how much consumers have increased their time over the last 6 months, pretty considerably. Users on social media are at 50%, and mobile apps also are up 20% year over year. Mobile is always going to be important. It's going to be even more important moving forward. Our phones are becoming more and more powerful. Designers are becoming more and more savvy on how to design for mobile and all the apps. So that's another thing to definitely take a look at. We know our customers are online more now than ever before. They're consuming more video, they're spending more time on social and apps. The key to finding where your customer is and how they discover and engage with your brand. Look at the demographics of each platform that you're using, and are they in line with your target customer? Dig into Google Analytics or your Shopify Analytics or any of the analytics that you have access to. It's really important to understand who's coming to your site and who's buying from your site, and if that is your target customer, and if it is, how are you reaching them? Dive into the acquisition of your site. Are they coming from social? Which channel in social are they coming from? Are they coming from search? These are all questions that you need to be asking, and the channels you need to be investing in. Again, going back to demand creation and demand capture, they might be different for one. Depends on the product, the price point, and your following. Facebook might drive a ton of sales for one brand. It might not drive any sales for another brand. And understanding if it is a sales driving channel and how you invest there and the content you put there, you can tailor it based upon the results you're seeing. And then we also look at, if you know who your customer is, say they're a millennial or Gen X, Gen Z, boomer, this chart over here is kind of interesting because it really shows since COVID how people are consuming information. You can see like boomers still receive a ton of information from broadcast TV, while Gen Z is really, really focused on online videos along those lines. But really, if that is your customer, are you in front of them? Are you where they are? And that's also something really important to look at. So a couple tips: invest in your digital channels. They're now the front door of your business. Shake up the media mix and consider a further shift to digital, including video content, invest in YouTube and the likes. So then we want to look at what are they actually purchasing. So COVID-19 initially shifted spending to essentials like groceries and toilet paper, as we all remember. Now we're seeing a very slow increase in discretionary spending as our economy begins to recover. Retail sales, what households spent at service station stores, restaurants, online, rose slightly at about 1.2% in July, and that marked the third consecutive monthly gain as part of the US. In July, we saw electronics and appliance stores were up 22% month over month. Clothing and clothing accessory stores were up 5.7% month over month. Health and personal care stores were up 3% month over month. And sporting goods was actually down 5% month over month. However, sporting goods store sales reports a 19% increase year over year. So most outfitters, most brands had a solid spring as people were looking to shift more outside. The silver lining of the pandemic is a renewed interest in outdoors. Consumers of all walks of life are more interested in healthy activities, but are also flocking to the outdoors to avoid the crowds. Our gyms are closed, theaters, malls, bars, everything is either closed, limited operations, or people are just very slow to return back right now and for the foreseeable future. We want to look at some NPD reports from June. We see that bicycle sales jumped 63%, paddle sports was up 56%, 51% up in golf, 31% up in camping gear, and 22% up in binoculars for bird watchers. So kind of lots of interest out there, a wide variety. It's pretty expansive. It's a big piece of the pie. So how does this tie back to the ski and snowboard industry and winter sports industry as a whole? So SnowBrains interviewed a handful of ski industry professionals who are predicting the increased interest in the outdoors this summer will roll over to the ski industry, specifically backcountry skiing. Retailers and brands are cautiously optimistic about sales this season, but are nervous about inventory as a lot of the ski brands experience factory shutdowns this spring. So if you think about all the people out there, look at the announcements from like Vail Resorts and Alterra and other mountain towns, basically virtually eliminating most walk-up ticket window sales for lift tickets. Season pass holders will have to make reservations. The resort experience is going to be an experience I don't think any of us have ever experienced before. That resort experience is becoming more and more exclusive. However, the product will probably be more enjoyable because there's going to be less people on the mountain. So if you're lucky enough to get a reservation and be able to ski and snowboard, you're probably going to not have to wait in long lift lines. So that in-resort experience would probably be pretty awesome when you think about it, which could be great for introducing more and more people to the sport. However, that's going to push a lot more people to the backcountry. So safety is always going to be a concern. How do we capitalize on that? How are we educating new consumers? Because we want it to be fun and safe for everybody. And with all these new outdoor enthusiasts, what are the other parts of the ski and snowboard industry that we can expand potentially to snowshoeing or cross-country skiing, so on and so forth. So we have the ability to grow the piece of the pie here. We just have to be able to reach all those new consumers. Then we also want to look at what channels they're coming from. So as you know, COVID created a surge in e-commerce with store closures, stay-at-home orders, and delivery services. Again, e-commerce sales are up 55% year over year. Reevaluate your channel mix to meet your customers where they are online. But be very focused on knowing what channels they prefer and continually ascertain this through close management of data around how your consumer is engaging with your content. Email marketing is still a top converting channel, but winning the email address of a consumer is tougher than ever. 13% of Americans, 13% of Americans are buying more products directly over social media platforms. And this is also really interesting because some brands are going to convert really, really high in social and some aren't going to convert at all. Again, you've got to test and learn and figure out which channel social is going to be good for. Is going to be a customer awareness, acquisition? Can you convert them from a follower to an email address and ultimately into your digital ecosystem to convert them to a sale or drive them to your store or other stores to buy your product? Purchasing from social referrals have grown 104% across the industry. So it's out there if you've got the right product that is a good price point, that's an easy buy. If it's a highly considered purchase, it might be a little bit more difficult to convert them. So what are the tactics you can use? Buying a snowboard, bindings, and boots, probably want more of an in-store experience. Buying, say, a pair of gloves might be a little bit more easy for the consumer to buy online and convert much more quickly through specific channels. We also want to look at how 89% of consumers say they will buy from a brand they follow on social media, and 84% will choose that brand over a competitor. So think about that. Are you set up in social? How are you interacting with your customers on there? Again, people use social media to discover a brand and what they're all about. It's very important that you've got your best foot forward in social. And it's also an opportunity to humanize your brand, which is going to be very important moving forward. But again, look who your target audience is, because that's where you need to be. And then we also want to offer a unique brand experience. So what is the unique brand experience you can offer for your consumer? The digital experience is now the human experience. Brands have to go out of their way to create a personalized experience and a human-to-human connection with their target consumer. This builds brand loyalty, which e-commerce can put at risk, to be honest. So shake it up and create a remarkable brand experience online. Create a seamless online experience for each and every customer. Create a high-value proposition to grow and retain customers, like incentives for first-time shoppers, membership or loyalty programs, and the added benefit to returning customers, and so on and so forth. Invest in customer service and foster trust through consistent communications, also very important. And create a seamless shopping experience from beginning to end. Today's tech-savvy customer have a low tolerance for missteps and have high expectations. Again, they want their questions answered now. There is a little bit of leeway, but it's really important to help them along the decision journey, because digital is not an easy thing to do. So if you can be a human helping them through that process, that gives you a great touch point, and you can help them through the sale process as well as building some brand loyalty. And use the tech. Create a highly personalized experience. For example, you can virtually try on glasses on the Warby Parker app, or IKEA, who has a new app that allows customers to visualize furniture and kitchen designs in their home. Listen to your customers. What are they asking for? What are they wanting? Look at what they're buying, what they're returning. All of these can make decision points along the way that will help build loyalty and trust with your consumer and your shoppers. And with all the CRMs out there, Shopify, Squarespace, and others, a lot of those platforms have made it much easier to add chat functionality, other shopping features that have already been built that are basically add-ons that make it a little bit easier and less investment in that. So some tips and takeaways. And again, we'll be doing some Q&A after this, so feel free to write down any of your questions. But let's sort of dig into some of these key takeaways right now. So the most important thing you can do before diving into any marketing strategy is to get to know your target consumer. Get up close and personal. Here's a few options. Send out a customer survey, or actually get on the phone and calling them. Go onto the sales floor if you've got a store. Talk to them. Usually they're more than willing to help you, especially if you find your brand people. They love to talk about your brand. They're great sources of feedback, as well as your ambassadors and influencers as well. But again, listen to what they're saying. Use data to its fullest potential. Always be looking at the numbers to assess what's working, what's not working, and where you should be focusing your energy. It's okay to say no to some things, believe it or not. And with that, make sure you're reporting to your leadership team on a regular basis to make sure they understand the importance of what you are doing. You are the consumer advocate for your brand. Again, find out if it's demand creation or demand capture by channel. So dig into the analytics. And then also trust your instincts. You should always kind of go with your gut and look at the information and make an educated decision on a direction to go. As you dig into Google Analytics, kind of work your way down. So click on the audience, dig around, find out who your audience is. Where are they coming from? Where do they live? What's the demographic makeup? Also take a look at your demographic makeup on your social channels. Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, they all report specifically who's watching your videos, who's interacting with your content. Is your online shopper the same as your social follower? Are they matching? Are they not matching? Why is that? Lots of questions, and they're going to be different for every single brand. Then look at the acquisition part. Where are they coming from? Is it direct? Are they coming by referral, by email, by social? Is it paid search? And is that how you want it to be? Do you want a majority of your traffic coming from Facebook, or do you want a majority of traffic coming direct? Do you want it coming from organic search? So also look at where those align up with your expectations and if it's weighted properly for what you think looks right for your brand. Look at the behavior. How are they navigating through your site? Are they all going to particular pages? Are there particular pages that are doing quite well? Are there pages that aren't doing well that you thought would do well? Look at ways to optimize those. Look at ways on how people are clicking through there, and look at their click paths. So you can make some educated decisions on how to expand those pages. How can you add more features? That's a great way to look at where people are falling off your site, and hopefully keeping them on your site longer will be better potentially. And ultimately, how are they getting down to conversion? Yeah, and then finally, obviously conversion, where you can click through to find out what exactly they're buying, how much are they buying, what's your average order value. And also, if you don't have an e-commerce store and you've got a bricks and mortar store, there's lots of technology out there that will actually let you put your live inventory online for local search. While you can't buy or fulfill online, if I'm Googling a pair of skis and I find my local shop down the road has that skis in stock, I can just walk down there right away and go grab them real quick. So again, be where your customer is at. People like to interact with humans. It's very important. So think about that. What are those tools that I can use to connect that online person to product and your brand? being where they're at. And last couple bullets here. Up-level your video content strategy. Invest in YouTube or other video. Photos and videos are the best performing content on social media by far. And it also helps humanize your brand, which is very, very important now. People want to see faces, names, personalities behind the brands, and they connect with that much more easily than just a computer screen. And it doesn't have to be you going out and buying a full studio, a new camera. We've got amazing phones in our pocket that take incredible video. They can be easy, fun, and they don't have to be professionally produced. People are quite forgiving these days. But look at the channels that you're going to go in. If you're going to do a YouTube video, YouTube is usually used for reviews, how-tos, some fun ski or snowboard content, so on and so forth. That video will probably do quite well in YouTube. Now, if you post that same video in Facebook Live, it's probably not going to do very well because the intent of Facebook Live is to be very interactive, conversational. So again, understanding the type of content you're building, what the channel is, the purpose of it, and how you're identifying with those, and complementing the goal of the platform itself. Which brings me to my next point is to conduct regular audits. So we want to find out what's working, what's not from your content strategy and your digital conversion strategy. You know, if you look at Google, Facebook, all the platforms, they're constantly updating their algorithms. They're always moving the goalposts on us. They do this for a series of reasons. One is because as people get really savvy and start to understand the algorithms, they're getting very good at optimizing their sites for that. Now that's good, but Facebook needs to make sure they are staying on top of new search trends, new technology, same thing with Google. So they're gonna start tweaking things here and there. So it's always good to check in with those platforms and see what they change, what they tweak, what they're weighting highly, what they're kind of dropping off. And all of those can kind of factor into your decision. So it's sort of a cat and mouse game with these guys. Then we look at like trends consumers want to see more of that you should incorporate into your video strategy. So 43% want to see more stories and 40% want to see more video. Again, it's about creating the content for the right platform at the right time for your consumer. If you know who they are, you're going to be able to create some good content for them. And again, it doesn't have to be amazingly produced, doesn't have to be Oscar worthy, just has to be decent and informational. And then lastly, in addition to investing in YouTube, invest in new technology to personalize the shopping experience. Invest in your e-commerce platform, your online channels to optimize site search, the shopping experience, and checkout experience. Luckily, there's tons and tons of free resources out there. Google's pretty good at serving up kind of what you need. And with, as I was saying earlier, with Shopify, Squarespace, WordPress, lots and lots of apps and developers are out there that help fill those gaps for you and your website. So lastly, before we go on to questions, just quick closing. I think the most important thing here is as customers navigate a series of new normals, personalized, empathetic engagement has never been more important. Delivering messages and offers that resonate with an individual's unique needs and expectations will go a long way. Your consumers are human. Use your online channels to truly connect, to share, to grow relationships. Be empathetic, be appreciative, and be real. So with that, that's sort of my presentation. Again, thanks for joining us. Thanks to SIA and Maggie for hosting me and Verde. Again, if you have any questions that I can't answer in this portion, just shoot me an email to dickerson@verdepr.com. And lastly, also thanks to Verde and Multi-Channel Marketing Academy. And we're signing up registration for that course through September 25th. So enroll there if you like as well. So thank you. On to questions.
Thanks so much, Chris. One update that I just want to point out is that we will be sharing this presentation afterwards. It has been recorded and we will get that out to everybody in the next day or so. Another question that has popped up is about some of the analytics on the social channels, and what is the best way to check or view those?
Often you can go into Facebook, the Facebook settings. You can look at the analytics through there. If you go on the Instagram app, there's some analytics in there as well. But there's tons of great resources out there as well. Sprout Social is a good one that will basically pull in everything. And also, a service like Sprout Social allows you to pull in your customer service as well. And we find that companies who aren't investing in customer service, like live human beings, a lot of people go directly to social. In fact, people go to Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram a lot faster than customer service because they're more likely to get a response from a lot of companies. And for some reason, the social media companies or the social media coordinators are much quicker to respond to those things. So you can look at a solution like that. Some other services that I think are pretty cool is one called Rival IQ that allows you to look at a number of things such as engagement, your fan growth, where people are clicking, impressions, and it also looks at your competitive landscape. So if you're a ski company, you can look at all your competitors and kind of what they're doing and evaluate their content and what's doing well there, what's doing well for you. So it's also a good way to look at your landscape and set some sort of expectations on growth and engagement if you can benchmark above those.
Thank you. Got another question. What are some ideas for incentives for new customers, and how can you avoid duplicate emails that customers use to obtain these special offers?
So yeah, couple, whether it's a percentage off, a gift with purchase, there's lots of things that you can incentivize people with. What I like to use is potentially like one-time use promo codes. I think that's a good one to take a look at. With Shopify, for example, they integrate with email service providers like Klaviyo, which we use quite a bit for our clients with their direct integration. So if you have them sign up, it'll just be a one-time use promo code, and you can be pretty granular with the rules around that for expiration date, percentage off. So that's a good way to fence a promo code, just a general promo code, so it doesn't get on any couponing sites. Let's see, gift with purchase I think is always a good one, or a surprise and delight. Or you can also incentivize them to get them into the, sign up for a customer loyalty program where you get early access to things. I think that's also a really good incentive, saying if you sign up now, you're gonna get our first crack at this piece of inventory or this product. So you don't always have to give away a percentage off, especially if you're a brand, you've got some map pricing you want to make sure you're looking after and being fair there. So I think you can get kind of creative with it. Free shipping is always a good one that people love and expect now. Upgraded shipping. So anything along those lines will usually work.
Thank you. Another question back to the analytics. And the question is it more accurate to use a partner app than direct platform analytics? I've noticed discrepancies between later.com and the platform analytics.
Yes, there is going to be discrepancies. I tend to use Google Analytics mostly. But again, it's just a sample data set. It's not 100% of the data. So again, take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. The biggest discrepancy I see really is from Google Analytics and Facebook Analytics. So if you're running conversion ads in Facebook and you're looking at conversion on Google Analytics and where they're coming from, and this is a little bit nerd talk, but basically Google counts a conversion on your last click conversion. So whatever that person clicked on last, Google is going to attribute that sale to that channel. Now, Facebook is quite generous where they will have a 30 or a 28-day cookie, and they will say, if anybody clicked on a Facebook ad, the last click counts as a purchase conversion, or if anybody saw your brand on Facebook in 28 days, they also count that as a conversion. So understanding those differences and those discrepancies is going to be really important, that it's not 100%. So always take it with a grain of salt, and that's kind of where the gut and the instinct, it's more about looking at trends and patterns. And then on platform like Shopify, you're going to get really good data on conversion, the customer, so on and so forth.
Thank you. I think that wraps up the questions for now. Just giving another second to see if any more come in. But want to thank you for spending your time today and talking us through all of that. I know as people digest that there will be more questions, so please feel free to either reach out to us at SIA or Chris directly, as he mentioned, and we will be sure to follow up and get back to you. But with that, I know everybody's got, full calendars these days, so we wrapped up a few minutes early, and we'll let you get on your way. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.